going on, everybody? It's your boy Itz-Beez-Da, TrackStar, and welcome back to Dancehall Masterclass, Chapter 3, Episode 4. So in the last video, we touched on swing, kind of explained a few ways to add, differences into the track. At this point, I'm still considering all of us to be beginners. We're not treating it as, advanced professionals or whatever you want to call it. So I'm treating it like that. So as you can see, I'm not doing too much stuff in the piano roll and or anything like that. So we haven't touched on that yet, basically, right? So we're just treating it like I said, like we're all beginners. We're just going from scratch. Cool. So now that we have the drums and all of that stuff laid out, like I said, everything is kind of going down the center. So now we kind of want to start getting an image, and like I said, this is something that you should practice to do as you add instrument. So you add an instrument, you pan it somewhere, you find somewhere for it. So typical our traditional law states, kicks down the center. Claps can either be straight down the center or wide. I prefer my claps to be wide. Sometimes I may want a mono clap depending on the track. Snares, always down the center, right? Hi-hats, either down the center or a little to the left. Basically, if you are a drummer, your hi-hat is always to the left, So you can either put that to the left or straight down the center. That is up to you. Cool. Your percussion this is where you kind of have to get creative because you want to spread everything out. So we will go basically back from scratch. So we'll just treat it as if we're just now adding our drums and all of that stuff, so we can kind of explain everything as we go along. Now, remember that in FL Studio, we have two pans. We have the pan on the mixer and we have the pan on the individual channels as well as individual channel volumes, right? So that's one. Two, if you make a change on the step sequencer, so if I pan this kick fully to the left, then on the mixer it's going to show up on the left. And vice versa, if it was on the right, it's only showing up on the right. Like I said, this is a kick. You want to force that mono. So there are two ways to do that. You can, one, leave it like this and just put it on a mixer track somewhere and put a mono plugin on it. Literally just put it on it. You don't have to actually have the plugin doing anything. So any mono plugin will force it down the center. Or there's a button on the FL Studio mixer called stereo separation. You can either push it to the left all the way, it will turn blue and you will get a stereo kick, which sounds just like a mono kick, pretty much. Or you can put it all the way to the right where you get it to be purple and now you have a mono kick. Cool. So you can do that. I typically do that for basically extra security, just to say, I want this to be fully mono. I don't want any variations whatsoever. Cool. So let's continue on. So for just the sake of this session, let's link everything to the mixer. And remember, the shortcut for that is you highlight everything and you select the first track and you press Control, Shift, and L, and that will link everything across the mixer. Let's also make this mixer a bit bigger so we can see exactly what is going on. We have yes, there we go. So now if we play everything, as you can see, everything is pretty much playing on both sides. So like I said, you want to spread your mix. So we have the kicks or the kick going out the first channel. You want that to be mono. The snare, pretty much the same thing. You want that to be mono as well. Percussion, this is where you start to spreading stuff around. So it's up to you on what side you want to put your percussion. My law, or how I operate, typically I put the first perk to the, let's turn that off. I put the first percussion to the left, the second to the right, and then the third. Typically, I'll start, if I'm adding a lot of percussions, if I'm using 3 at this particular time. So sometimes I can use 4, 5, 6 different perks. So then I'll just start hard left, hard right, and then sometimes I'll go soft left, soft right, and then 1 down the center. Cool. So in this situation, we only have 3, so we don't go hard left, hard right, and straight down the center. So now if we play with everything, just with all of the stuff where we kind of have the panning done pan, we have this. And like I said, percussion is ear candy. When you hear the bell on this side, and then you hear the little reverse sound effect on this side, you are like, okay, oh, you know what I mean? It kind of grabs your attention. Which is exactly what I want it to do. So the claps, once again, These claps seem very stereo to me, very wide. One way how you can tell is if I were to force them mono, if they lose any of the body or the character, let's go back stereo. It doesn't lose anything. So these claps are pretty much mono. So we can leave them exactly where they are. So if we play with the claps now, nice. We have an open hat that we didn't use yet. Didn't feel the need for it, so I didn't add it. Then we also have the hi-hat. Like I said, the hi-hat can either be mono, wrong channel, mono, and notice look at what mono does, right? So when I leave it just as is, notice it's playing a little more on the right than on the left. That's just normal. That is because if we go here and put multi-channel waveform view, there's more information on the right side. As you can see, this waveform is a lot bigger than this side. So one way that we could fix that, there's a feature called remove DC offset. Sometimes it works to remove stuff like that, but a lot of times it doesn't. If we try and normalize, sometimes that can work too, but it won't. And as you can see, we can switch the channels. This is basically the same as pressing this button here, swapping the left and right, but that won't help. So like I said, hi-hat, you want it to be mono, we just force it mono. So now, as we force it mono, you watch and see how it levels out. And you can also hear it. You understand what I'm saying? So that's it for the hi-hat. Like I said, it depends. If we're working with live drums, which we typically don't do in dancehall, then it's treated totally different. So now, we have the other hi-hat now, and we can either do the same exact thing, force it mono, or one other alternative is to basically say, all right, we have two hi-hat, let's get them out of each other's way, and we can pan one left and one right. But the problem with doing that is now you can see the massive difference as far as volume. Whereas when we had them going straight down the center, it's not as noticeable. It's definitely noticeable because it is louder. One of them is louder, but it's not as noticeable as when they are totally separated. You understand? So that's something to be careful of. In FL Studio, one good thing about forcing stuff mono is that you still have the ability to pan sounds. Now, a lot of people don't know. A pan is basically, the technical term for it is a differential junction circuit, DJC, cool, or a panoramic potentiometer. Basically, it is just, while it does have stuff to do with left and right, it's mainly volume. Okay, it's mainly just volume. It's where do you want to focus the volume, to be honest. It's not like directly like the volume fader or potentiometer or slider, but it's still having to do with volume, because if you look at the level here, right here, we're peaking at about -10, right? When I push this all the way to the left, notice that when all of the energy is focused on one side, now we are at -7, -8. You understand what I'm saying? So it definitely has stuff to do with volume. And a perfect example, and I'll show this when we get into like later videos, especially with synths and pianos and stuff like that, is that when you pan, you basically are saying, hey, take out some of the volume on this side and refocus that energy on this side. That's basically what you are doing, right? So you have to kind of be careful with that and keep that stuff in mind. So basically, we just panned out all of our instruments and made our instruments sound. You know, we created space, we created a bigger atmosphere, you know, along with all of this stuff. So now that we have that, in the next video, we'll kind of go over a few more things that I think are like worth noting, especially about working with samples, you know, and then we can kind of go into creating melodies and then putting drums around them. So this is, like I said, this is one way of working where you can build the melodies or the drums first. And don't worry about speed. If you are a beginner, speed will come with time. You understand? If you are already past this type of stuff, you understand, then, or if you are way past this stuff and are still learning stuff, then that's great. But speed will come with time. Like when I'm making tracks, I don't sit here and think about all of this stuff because I already know it. So I just go in and boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? And I'm done. I'm out. And so just keep that in mind, that stuff will come with time, you know. So let's save this project and move on into another video. Until next time, it's your boy, Itz-Beez-Da, the TrackStar. Peace.